Welcome to the Gaming Pulpit. This is your host JD Gray, and today we got a little article that was from CNET. Apparently, they've actually spoken to one of the head honchos for the Sony computer entertainment. What is this nigga's name? Jim Ryan. That's that fucking British dude with the fucking gray hair, the guy that did Wonder Book years ago. Apparently, he had a lot to say about these consoles, specifically. He wanted a seamless transition into the next generation. So they said that basically Sony promised this upcoming console will share save games and have backwards compatibility and more. So some good shit that they have going on. So I'm gonna read this, run through this shit and read this. So basically, Sony wants to put an end to that in terms of rough transitions between generations. They want this to be like a gradual thing. So, Jim Ryan offers some new details regarding the console, the next console iteration. Ryan said that the company plans to offer cross-generational play, effectively offering players the ability to play games on their PS4 and switch to the new console and continue. And then switch back. Now, this sounds like forward compatibility as well, which is be interesting. We don't know exactly what it means, but it sounds like forward, forward compatibility. Effectively, it won't matter to Sony servers which device you're playing on. As a result, they all have the same friends while they do it. So apparently, the the PlayStation UI is probably gonna be very similar to the PS4, which will be interesting, to say the least. Whether it's backwards compatibility or the possible cross-generation play, we'll be able to transition to that community to the next generation, he says. It will not be a binary choice whether you have to be either on the PlayStation 4 or next generation to continue friendship. You know what I mean? So basically, Ryan has been working for Sony for the last 25 years, you know what I mean? So he knows a little bit of something, He also works with Sean Layton as well. And Sean Layton's been there for 13 years. And they've been making some really good decisions, like for this whole thing with Death Stranding. They knew to put that game first over everything because of the enigma around that fucking title. It's just they've been making like really good decisions. At first I thought it was like, kind of like a fluke. But they deliberately plan out these console games and they know how to hype the shit out of it. I really did thought it was a fluke. I really thought it was, but it's not. But Jim also states, they count the active users and shit like that. So they said basically it's 94 million players, 36 of whom subscribes to the PlayStation Plus. And basically the PlayStation 4 sold nearly 100 million units, which is pretty awesome. He then goes on to say that the community has never been bigger and has never been more engaged. A lot of people bought in to the 2013 sales pitch, and they're still with them. And the amount of time and money they invested is, he says, very humbling. Those is pretty cool. Sony also has been slow releasing details about the PlayStation successor. But they won't say any kind of names or anything like that, as we already know. We already knew this. There's some things that are redundant, some things that are not. So apparently, as you know, the PlayStation 5 will load games significantly faster, which I want to say this too. There's a lot more detail that's going to be in these new generation games. There's going to be a lot, so you can't really say that it's going to load it, in 0.8 seconds. All the data is going to be multiplied in terms of the new generation games. So it's probably going to be a bit faster, but not like almost instantaneous as that fucking demo, because it was new generation loading fucking old generation shit. So it looked like he was talking about the SDD or SSD storage, and they basically have some kind of custom software, hardware. The device also going to have 4K visuals at 120 hertz, essentially. So it'll be interesting to see what they are going to do with that. Let's take a look here. He also said something about the world is changing very fast in an interesting way. So he wouldn't say anything about the PlayStation VR, other than the fact that they're pleased with the success, which is, it's not that much shit going on. You know what I mean? Ooh, you know what I mean? I think it only sold like a few million, you know what I mean? But they're happy and they want to expand the PlayStation VR. But another thing too is, let me take a look here. I just want to make sure I got it. Well, one of the things, because I'm reading this shit off now, he states that he doesn't want to go into details about the PlayStation VR and what they had coming for it. But he did mention that there's a lot of people playing it and there's a lot more games to come. You know what I mean? He did mention also about how the gaming space is evolving, especially things like Google. So the landscape is changing fast, and if we simply kind of lean back on a world that we've been knowing for the past 25 years, we'll be at grave risk of having events around us overtake us, which is what I said before, and a lot of people said. Essentially, nobody, these companies do not want Sony doesn't want to be left behind again. So they're being very proactive. It's not like they don't want to, it's not like they're trying to push everything to, cloud gaming. This is about cloud gaming, by the way, and PlayStation now. They're willing to make sure that they are preemptively striking shit. You know what I mean? So they said that they need to have an open mind about this shit. And then he reassures us that basically the collaboration between Microsoft and Sony is strictly just using their services and Microsoft using their hardware. That's basically all it is. They mentioned that there's a lot of things that they don't talk about. They've made crazy advancements with the PlayStation now, with the current infrastructure that they have, but they want to expand it. They're only in 19 countries so far, and they have 100 or 780 games in the States. So there's a lot of things that they did, but they want to expand this shit just to make sure that they're not left behind in the dust. Let me just take a look here. What else did they say? Let me see here. People are also talking about like what's going to happen in the future, and he says, basically it goes back to these 3 points: our endurance strengths, exclusive games, the brand, and the community. You know what I mean? He said, as long as we keep them happy, we should be basically successful. You know what I mean? That's when the guy asked him if this was the last console, and he says, well, I don't know. No one knows. He says back in 2012. People were saying that the PlayStation 4 was going to be a flop, and well, we see that too. And that's fair to say too. You just never know. Let me just take a look here. And that's pretty much it. And I'm glad I kind of run through all of that. So essentially what I could take away from this interview is that Sony isn't changing their plans for next generation. They're still going to worry about their exclusives. They're still going to worry about their community and keeping them satiated. That's basically what they're trying to do. Essentially, they want to make PlayStation Now larger. They can't do this like little, playing around with this shit, especially when you have other people trying to do cloud gaming. So they want to be serious. And Microsoft already has the infrastructure already, so all they got to do is port their information over. That's pretty much it. They essentially just reassured you that they're going to continue to work on, essentially their exclusives and everything they were doing before. So this gives me a lot of, hope there. But let me know in the comments what you liked or disliked about the video, and if you liked it, a sub would be appreciated. I'm sorry I had to put this video together hastily, but deuces, peace out.